What if I told you that American schools do not teach the full truth about their own history? Not because the truth is boring, not because it is irrelevant, but because some chapters are so dark, so uncomfortable, that teaching them would force students to question authority, power, and the very idea of moral progress. From an early age, students in the United States are taught a carefully designed version of history, a version filled with heroic narratives, proud moments, and national achievements. Freedom, democracy, victory, innovation, these themes dominate textbooks. And while these ideas are real, they are not the complete story. History is not only written by winners, it is also shaped by what is left out. Every nation chooses what to remember and what to forget. Some stories are highlighted, others are reduced to a single line, a footnote, or erased entirely. This selective memory creates a comforting illusion that progress has always been clean and that power has always been used responsibly. But reality is far more complicated. Today, we are going to uncover real, documented historical events that most American students never properly study in school. These are not rumors. These are not conspiracy theories. These are events confirmed by government records, investigations, and official apologies. The real mystery is not whether these events happened. The real mystery is why they are rarely taught in full. Education is never neutral. What children learn in school shapes how they see their country, their government, and themselves. For this reason, history education is often designed to create unity, pride, and national identity. But this approach comes with a cost. When history is simplified, uncomfortable truths are often removed. Events that challenge moral authority are softened or skipped. Mistakes become complex situations. Crimes become controversial decisions. Teaching the full truth would require asking difficult questions. Questions like, who decides what is right and wrong? Who benefits from silence? And who pays the price for it? Governments are not eager to highlight moments where they abused power, exploited citizens, or violated human rights. These stories weaken blind trust and encourage skepticism. So instead of complete honesty, schools often teach a safer version of history, one that avoids deep discomfort. This does not mean teachers are lying. It means the system itself filters what is considered appropriate. And that filter has hidden some of the darkest chapters of American history. In 1932, during the Great Depression, the United States government initiated a medical study that would later be recognized as one of the most unethical experiments in modern history. It was known as the Tuskegee syphilis experiment. The study involved over 600 African-American men from rural Alabama. Most of them were poor sharecroppers with little access to education or health care. They were told they would receive free medical treatment for a condition referred to as bad blood. What they were not told was the truth. Doctors already knew that many of these men were infected with syphilis, a serious disease that can cause organ failure, mental breakdown, and death if left untreated. Instead of providing treatment, government officials made a calculated decision. They chose to observe how the disease progressed naturally inside the human body. The men trusted the doctors. They trusted the government. That trust was exploited. Even after penicillin became a widely accepted cure in the 1940s, treatment was deliberately withheld. The experiment was no longer about medicine. It was about data. Over the years, the consequences were devastating. Men went blind. Men lost their sanity. Men died slowly and painfully. Their wives were infected. Their children were born with congenital syphilis. The experiment continued for 40 years. It did not end because it was morally wrong. It ended only in 1972, when a whistleblower leaked information to the press, triggering public outrage. The U.S. government later issued an official apology. Yet despite its scale and cruelty, this experiment is often reduced to a brief mention in textbooks, if it is mentioned at all. During the Cold War, fear controlled global politics. The United States believed that its enemies, especially the Soviet Union, were developing techniques to control the human mind. The idea that a soldier, spy, or even an ordinary citizen could be psychologically manipulated terrified intelligence agencies. In response to this fear, the CIA launched one of the most secretive programs in American history. It was called MK Ultra. The goal of MK Ultra was not defense, it was control. The CIA wanted to know whether human behavior could be altered, broken, or completely rewritten. To find answers, they crossed ethical boundaries that most people would never imagine. Unknowing American citizens became test subjects. Some were given powerful psychoactive drugs such as LSD without their consent. Others were subjected to hypnosis, sensory deprivation, extreme isolation, and psychological torture. These experiments were not limited to secret laboratories. They took place in hospitals, universities, prisons, and military facilities across the country. In many cases, victims believed they were receiving medical treatment. They had no idea they were part of a classified government experiment. The results were devastating. Some participants suffered permanent psychological damage. Others experienced paranoia, memory loss, and severe mental breakdowns. A few individuals died under unexplained circumstances. When journalists and investigators finally exposed MK-Ultra in the 1970s, the CIA admitted that the program existed. However, by that time, most of the official documents had already been destroyed on direct orders from intelligence officials. This means the public may never know the full extent of what happened. Despite its seriousness, MK-Ultra is rarely discussed in American classrooms. A government-approved mind control program is not an easy topic to explain to students, so it is often quietly ignored. For more than a century, the United States government operated a system of Native American boarding schools. These schools were not designed to educate. They were designed to erase identity. The guiding philosophy behind them was brutally clear. Kill the Indian, save the man. Native American children were taken from their families, sometimes by force. They were transported hundreds of miles away to government-run institutions where contact with their parents was restricted or completely cut off. Once inside, their culture was systematically destroyed. Their hair was cut. Their traditional clothing was burned. Their languages were banned. Speaking a native language resulted in punishment. Practicing traditional customs was treated as disobedience. Children were taught to feel shame about who they were. Many suffered physical abuse, emotional trauma, and neglect. Overcrowding and poor sanitation allowed disease to spread rapidly. Thousands of children never returned home. In recent years, unmarked graves have been discovered near several former boarding schools, confirming what Native American communities had been saying for generations. This was not ancient history. Some of these schools remained active well into the late 20th century, yet this chapter of American history is often reduced to a few sentences or ignored entirely, despite its long-lasting impact on Native communities today. Teaching these stories creates discomfort. They challenge the idea that power is always used responsibly. They force people to confront the reality that governments can commit crimes against their own citizens. For institutions built on authority and trust, this is dangerous territory. It is far easier to teach a version of history that inspires pride rather than reflection, a version that celebrates progress without examining its cost. Silence becomes a tool, not because the truth does not matter, but because the truth is inconvenient. When history is filtered, generations grow up without understanding the full consequences of unchecked power. They learn what happened, but not why it mattered, or who suffered because of it. Ignoring these stories does not erase them. It only ensures they are repeated in different forms. History is not meant to be comfortable. It is meant to be honest. Understanding the darker chapters of American history does not weaken a nation. It strengthens it by encouraging accountability, awareness, and responsibility. The events discussed today are not meant to inspire guilt. They are meant to inspire understanding, because a society that refuses to confront its past can never fully control its future. So now the question is yours. Should schools teach the full truth, even when it is uncomfortable, even when it challenges national pride? Which part of this history shocked you the most? Share your thoughts in the comments. Subscribe for more unbelievable facts.